It was Thursday evening when I made my last delivery of the shift. The workload was extremely high because the other delivery guy had stopped answering calls and working for a few weeks, so the rest of us were working overtime. The address that I was given turned out to be a bit out of town. The place was so secluded and so far from the crowd that it felt like it could swallow even the faintest glimmer of light. My name is Jack, and this is the night when this incident happened to me. The order was strange from the beginning: a large pizza with no toppings, the option to pay upon delivery, and a note. Please leave it on the dining table. Filled with curiosity, I had seen many strange and unusual requests in this job over the years. As soon as my bike hit the gravel road, I immediately started feeling something odd and unusual about the place. Surely there must be some mistake. I checked the GPS again and reassured myself the location was correct. As soon as I took the pizza box in hand and headed towards the main door, the air turned cold. I knocked on the door hoping no one would answer, and that's exactly what happened. No one came. So I turned the boat around and the door opened. Hi? My voice seemed to get lost in the darkness inside. Pizza delivery? No response. The inside of the house was shrouded in shadows. Dust particles were floating in the air, open windows, broken frames, and strange pictures. I guessed and looked towards the dining room. The sound of my footsteps echoed on the wooden floor. As instructed in the note, the table was there, but it wasn't empty. A fine set of dishes covered in dust was placed there. The entire table was covered with a thick layer of dust, which had clearly accumulated over a long period of time. However, the most surprising thing was that there was a clean spot on the table, perfectly the size of a pizza box, as if someone had just moved it recently. I placed the box there. This is very strange, I said out loud, feeling puzzled, and decided to leave the place. And then, to my surprise, I heard the faint sound of the chair behind me moving slightly. I turned around quickly, but there was no one there. My heart started pounding rapidly, but as soon as I turned back to leave again, I suddenly froze in place. I realized that the pictures on the wall had changed. Where there were once majestic mountains, flowing rivers, and strange enigmatic pictures, now there were people. They were smiling, but with a hollow, empty look in their eyes. My fear started to grow. I quickly ran to the door, but it just wouldn't open. Why isn't this opening? I started to pant. My breath was clearly visible in the cold, crisp air of the room. I turned back towards the room, and then the whispering started. Many voices were coming from different directions, but it was unclear where exactly they were coming from. And then suddenly, a woman came close to my ear and said, "The food must be finished."
I tried to cover my ears, but the voice had already settled in my mind.
In the torchlight, I began to see emotions emerging. Then the sound of laughter started. It was the innocent laughter of a child, subtly hiding the influence of a bad time behind it. Shadows were dancing on the walls, shapes that looked human but were not quite human, almost human-like but not entirely. I fell backward. My back hit the cold wood of the dining table. I'm not joking, but the pizza box was open, and inside was not pizza, but a horrifying piece of meat. Its rotten smell touched my nose. I immediately closed my mouth. It was more than just a piece of rotten meat. It was very good and I was feeling suffocated. Please let me go. I started to plead. I don't know in front of whom. The woman's whispering grew louder. The child's laughter also became louder. Suddenly, a picture hanging on the wall fell, causing the room to shake. It depicted a man without eyes, a woman without eyes, and a little girl without eyes, all of them eerily lacking eyes. And then the temperature returned to normal. The shadows retreated, and the laughter vanished into the air. I was alone, or at least I thought I was alone. But then I saw a figure standing at the threshold of the dining room. A little girl who couldn't be more than 7 years old, her eyes gouged out from the inside. "Would you like to have dinner with us?" she asked. Her voice had a mix of innocence and dark depth. I couldn't speak or move. The girl's eyes seemed to be pulling my very soul out with their profound emptiness. "No, please, I have to go." "But when you are our guest," she said, turning her head completely around. She had twisted her head so far around that her eyes, nose, and ears were now visible on her back, yet the meal was still not finished. When she started talking, the tension and heaviness in the air around us increased. It was as if her words had such depth that the room filled with that darkness. I mustered up courage and spoke to her. "I don't belong here," I said to her, feeling out of place. Fear was evident in my voice as I spoke. The girl just smiled back at me, a deceitful smile spreading across her face. "No one becomes anything until they go there," she gave this mysterious answer before disappearing into the darkness of the night, leaving me alone in that place. My heart started pounding loudly. I was looking for a way to escape from there. The pictures on the walls were watching me. Their eyes were on my every move. Wherever I went, their eyes followed me. I had been deceived. I couldn't get over this overwhelming feeling. Scared and desperate, I threw myself out the window, but instead of breaking through, it felt like I had jumped against a solid wall. This caused an injury to my shoulder. When I realized that I was just a mouse trapped in a maze, a toy of forces beyond my understanding. I panicked. Then the house began to show its true terrifying form. The ground beneath my feet started to shake. The loud piercing scream of a woman echoed throughout the entire house, and just behind that little girl, I finally saw a shadowy figure. A fat man, covered in blood and wearing night clothes, was sitting quietly in the corner and staring intently at me. The only thing was, he had no eyes at all, just an eerie hollowness. "Come have dinner with us," the girl said again. I was extremely scared, so I agreed. I slowly walked towards the dining table. I picked up a piece of the mask and closed my eyes before putting it in my mouth. I gave up. I took a bite, and all of a sudden I could taste the bread. When I opened my eyes, I found myself once again in an empty, dusty, lifeless room. The strange eyeless spirits were gone. The woman screaming had finally stopped, and I found myself just sitting there, eating the pizza that had been ordered earlier. There was only silence around. I could see myself in the mirror. Tears were streaming down my face. Amidst all this, a new sound pierced the room's silence. The sound of a phone ringing, its tone loud and disturbing. My phone. My hands were shaking, and with great difficulty I picked up the phone and answered. "Hello, yes, I'm speaking." The response came from the other side. I recognized the voice. It was my manager. "Why is it taking you so long? You've been there for 2 hours." 2 hours? That can't be. It felt like I had only been in the house for a few minutes. "I'm stuck," I said, panting. "Please, you have to help me." The address of the house was clear to me just a moment ago, but now I couldn't remember. The house. I couldn't remember anything about it, and I started crying uncontrollably. "Jack, calm down." "Which house? I don't understand anything you're saying." I started looking around. I needed something to bring me back to reality, and then I noticed that the pizza box was sitting on the table, but it was completely gone, already eaten. Who ate this? Listen to me. Why is the order showing up under your name in the system? Text. Was the order placed from your number? I couldn't believe it at first. I quickly opened the pizza and checked the order details. In shock, the phone slipped from my hand. My mind was racing. As soon as I realized the order was placed under my name, I quickly picked up my phone and turned around. The door was open. I ran out as if my life depended on that door. Finally, I had the chance to meet the delivery boy who had mysteriously stopped coming to work. During our conversation, I discovered that he too had once been trapped in a similar house just like me and had faced a similar incident. It was surprising to learn that we had both gone through such a comparable experience. When he ate the same pizza that he had brought for delivery, the pizza place immediately updated their system to ensure that they would not take an order from this place again, and no other delivery guy went back to the house again.